Hi, I'm Andrew Patterson from interest.co.nz, and with me today, Manas Kumar, Chief Executive at Optimizer HQ. Manas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Manas, before we get into the business itself, let's talk about the interesting story that you have about how you came to New Zealand. Just tell us briefly a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been in New Zealand, as you know, about 11 and a half years, and I primarily came here to further my cricketing career. As I was playing pro cricket, played in South Africa for some time, played in India as well. And I had a motorbike accident that kind of put me on the bench for a couple of years, and I thought, let's try New Zealand. Came here to play cricket, not realizing that the season here is back to front, silly me. So ended up spending some more time on the bench, and then never really managed to adjust to the playing conditions here. And then obviously life took over. And about 8 years ago, started a web design company called Genesis Web Strategies, which is today Optimizer HQ as you know it.
But in between, it didn't all go sort of perfectly, wasn't it? It wasn't a perfect transition because you ended up actually living on the streets for some time because you didn't actually have a lot of money.
No, that's right. You know, it's far from a rosy picture. And in the first 6 months of my life, I did spend time by the Britomart. What's now the Britomart used to be the Queen Elizabeth Square. Spent 6 months there and did all sorts of jobs, pumping gas, flipping burgers, making sandwiches, and selling cars, credit cards on the phone, rental cars to corporates, all sorts, newspaper advertising as well. So been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, tried selling it, nobody would want to buy it.
And this is despite the fact that you've got a couple of degrees, well qualified. So there were kind of issues in just being able to get a job yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I think my struggle was more to do with my creative space. I always wanted to do something different, and my mindset was quite different. My work ethic was quite different to the places that I was finding my job to be in. And it always felt like it was time for me to do something different. And I decided to enter the online space because the internet is where all the action was back then and still is, and will probably be for the next several years. And started the company with exactly $10, and here we are.
So Optimizer HQ is a business that does a whole lot of integrated marketing for businesses in different ways. Just explain a little about how the business itself actually works.
We've had a very simple philosophy right from the very beginning that business is all about finding, winning, keeping, and growing. And these four aspects of business isn't anything new. And all we've done is we've developed tools and technology that facilitate the finding, the winning, the keeping, and the growing of customers through an online environment. For instance, it's no longer just a case of you finding customers, it's also about customers finding you. So search engine performance is quite critical these days for companies. Along with that, once a visitor comes to your website, how do you convert that from a visitor to a lead, leading on to a sale? And then there's a whole customer relationship management aspect to it. Then there's marketing automation aspect to it, email marketing, SMS marketing, surveys, social media. So we've got tools that facilitate all these processes. And the good thing, Andrew, is because all of our tools are so well integrated, as far as a business is concerned, they're getting an end-to-end picture, all the way from finding the customer to growing that customer to producing referrals and repeat business.
So what you're doing is effectively doing a lot of that backroom work so the businesses can actually get on and do what they do best.
Absolutely. So things like connecting with their customers through social media, communicating with their customers through email and SMS, understanding customer feedback using surveys, and then managing the overall relationships using a customer relationship management system. And to top it all off, we've also, as you know, our recent acquisition in January of a motion graphics and animation division, we're now also able to help businesses explain their ideas a lot more simpler through animation and really high quality motion graphics as well. And we've found that in the online space, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, how many words is a video worth? So Animation Works has also been an important inclusion in Optimizer HQ.
There's a lot of businesses working in this space. So what makes your position unique? What are your selling points that would compel a business to retain your services than somebody else?
It's like any other business. You have competitive life cycles that happen all the time, and during different competitive life cycles, the competitive advantages shift as well. At certain points in the life cycle of our products, price was a competing factor. But what we've done over the last number of months is develop a unified strategy where customer service, excellent world-class customer service, is our biggest advantage. And we're deploying a lot of resources into providing 24/7 customer services to customers around the world. And on top of that, we have also put a lot of effort and emphasis on the front end, making sure that the software products we're developing are simple and easy to use. Nothing beats simplicity. And at the end of the day, you're right, there are several other companies around the world that are in a similar space. But what really separates us is our ability to simplify technology and the world-class customer service that we bring to the table.
What about getting your own customers? Where do you find those? And what percentage are New Zealand customers? What percentage are international?
Look, being in the space that we are, we have to practice what we preach. So a massive portion of our customer acquisition comes by using our own tools and technologies. So we're very active on search engines, doing search engine advertising, search engine optimization. And at this stage, nearly 80% or more of our customers are outside of New Zealand. So we have a huge export market, specifically North America, Europe, and Southeast Asia is opening up soon now that we've got a Hong Kong office set up. So yeah, we have a massive percentage of our customers that are not from New Zealand, and all of our customer acquisition really happens through the online media.
And this is a great thing, isn't it? It's a weightless business. It doesn't matter where you operate from or where the customer is. It all just you just do all that online.
Exactly. Utilizing technology to your advantage, I think, is a great way of making sure that you're running a large operation without having the overweight and overhang of the overheads that you would have normally. So it's a very efficient business model, and obviously software as a service, you have residual revenue, and which makes the entire bottom line offering quite attractive.
So when we look around the office, you're not investing a whole lot of money in flash office equipment. This is a business that's clearly in a growth phase, so you're trying to keep your costs contained. That's obviously a deliberate strategy for you at the moment.
Well, we do have customer interface, and we do have, we even have government delegates coming into our offices for various reasons. But we've positioned ourselves as a factory, Andrew. And at the end of the day, our mandate is to produce world-class technology. Our mandate isn't to have the most fanciest chandelier hanging from the ceiling. We would much rather invest that money into developing resources and R&D as opposed to impressing somebody with a fancy office. And our customers actually appreciate that. And a lot of people that come into our offices, they recognize that we are a hands-on, company that is producing technology that is growing at breakneck speed, and we're doing this because we're putting our effort and energies in the right places, I guess.
One of the big issues you face, of course, is talent and trying to get the right talent into your business. Where are the problems from your perspective at the moment?
We've struggled to fill positions here, and we have positions open in several departments within the company at various levels, at entry levels, at medium, mid-manager levels, and even at executive levels. But we're struggling to find the right kind of talent here. And the challenge we have is our growth is happening so rapidly that we need to equip ourselves with the right kind of people. And not being able to find the right kind of people has the potential of slowing us down or creating a bottleneck that we have little control over. So talent is there's a huge drought of talent here, no doubt.
So where's the problem? There are lots of people looking for jobs. What aren't they delivering? What haven't they got that's the missing factor for you?
I think let me also clarify one thing. When I say a drought of talent, it may not necessarily be a generalist view. It may be more in the context of what we perceive as good talent. Because we're a very peculiar type of company. We have when we hire developers, they have to go through our own internal testing process, and so I think where we are coming unstuck with regards to the issue of talent is that we're finding the people that are attracted to our job ads out there, the people that are applying, They may have the degrees, they may have the educational background, they may have the bookish knowledge, but they don't have the practical knowledge, which is really what we need. Now, being a New Zealand company, we're trying to grow a business on a global scale. That is another paradigm shift, to be able to understand the cross-cultural values of how do you deal with businesses in Asia as opposed to businesses in North America. What is customer service, and what does that mean in the Asian context as opposed to the North American context, for example? Two different beasts. You have to approach them slightly differently. And in middle management positions, we have employees that interface with our customers on a global scale. There are different time zones involved. There needs to be adaptability into how they understand and utilize technology. And even at a marketing sales type role level, we're looking for people that understand our space. There's not a lot of people that understand the space. There's a lot of marketing people out there, good ones, but they all have such a strong traditional mindset toward marketing that the whole idea around social marketing, the community element, the online space, they're not very savvy with that. That's where we're coming unstuck in saying that, look, there's a drought of talent. People aren't up to speed. Now, our universities, I believe, are some of the finest in the world, but from what I've seen in terms of interviewing people and the applications that are coming through, they're getting good lessons, but they're not really good at applying them in a practical sense. They've bookish knowledge, but not practical knowledge.
So this is really about having a global perspective.
Absolutely. We need to be producing graduates that can think globally and act globally as well, but at the same time deliver locally.
And of course, when you look at your team, most of your staff are under the age of 30?
Yeah, with the exception of myself, I'm just only a couple of years over 30. Yeah, they're all very young guys, and they're completely multicultural. We have people from Asia, we have people from India, obviously myself, we have people from Europe, Switzerland, we have all sorts of people. And I think it's great because that's what's really helped us bring that global perspective together, because all these guys that are coming from different countries, they're bringing their local knowledge from that country, and that's helping us develop a very cross-cultural discipline, a very global flavor to our overall offering. And at the end of the day, we can only deliver world-class customer service if it happens at every level within the business. So no matter who you're speaking with, we're trying to develop a culture that person will bring a global perspective into serving you.
And of course, the way they work, I'm assuming it's all collaborative, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've seen a lot of the offices open spaces because we want people to come together. We do a lot of whiteboarding. There's whiteboards everywhere in this office. The landlord's starting to get fed up because we're trying to whiteboard everywhere in the walls, and wherever we can find an empty spot, that becomes a strategy roadmap for us. So yeah, it's a very collaborative working environment, and all of us, we work together and we play together quite a bit, and it's amazing. A lot of times great ideas emerge when we're playing pool in the kitchen. So yeah.
So Manas, just explain to us a little bit about the way strategy works when you are dealing in an environment that is moving so quickly.
Yeah, one of the first things that we had to accept was the fact that we're moving really, really fast, and there are going to be certain elements of the strategy that are going to be a moving target. We had to accept the fact that there needs to be flexibility in how we are approaching strategy, and we also had to equip ourselves with the knowledge of what's going on outside of our industry and outside of our space, so we know if there are any external factors that are going to influence how our strategy is implemented. Yes, it is a challenge, no doubt. And in the online space, competition is intense because you're no longer competing with the local guy in the same suburb as you are. You're not competing with every man and his chef that's selling the same thing around the world. So we had to really look at how we recognize our global competitive landscape and continue to build value. And that's why we're focusing on customer service, because nothing beats good service.
Give us a sense of your plans. Where could this company be in 5 years' time, for instance?
Wow, 5 years is way too long. We really have to think in shorter time frames because technology is moving so rapidly that 5 years down the line, we have a strategic roadmap that tells us where we would like to be in 5 years' time. However, we are also mindful of the fact that along the way there might be certain forks in the road that may require us to deviate from that. As a company, we are definitely growing. You can see with the footprint that we've created over the last few months. As a company, we are also working on a couple of very key projects that we feel is going to bring quite a change in the way businesses use technology in this country. And I have a real heart to see our country, New Zealand, gain momentum and really become a strong force out there in the global marketplace, where we are not just good exporters of dairy and farm products, but also good exporters of technology.
So Manas, tell us a bit about the decision to list the company in Frankfurt, which is something that you did in the last 12 months. Why the decision to actually list in Frankfurt?
We decided to go public on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange around middle of last year, and around August really. And the reason for doing that was, Frankfurt was at the time offering a very simple listing system, a much faster to market process. And at that time, their proposed alliance with the New York Stock Exchange was also presenting great opportunities for us to get a secondary listing, or perhaps even a primary listing in the U.S. markets at some stage. So we went public on the 1st of December. So it's just been about 6 months now. And I think it's been great from a company's profile point of view. We've received a lot of coverage, and we've had a lot more market presence as a result of us going public in a different market, as opposed to any other activity that we may have undertaken. And I think overall, largely, the decision has proven to be a good one, because it has given us access to additional funding instruments and vehicles to raise capital for the company, because as you can see, growth requires a lot of capital. So yeah, it's been good.
So was the capital raising relatively straightforward? Because that's an issue that many companies say that they have the real problem with, actually, is getting the capital. How did that happen for you?
Look, it hasn't been straightforward, and it's not a straightforward thing. It's like in any other business. Market conditions have always played a role in that, and they continue to do so. And we're all quite aware of what's been going on in the Eurozone economy. So it's an ongoing effort, and it's not something that happens overnight. So it's a work in progress.
Do you find it ironic, though, that as a New Zealand-based company, that you aren't actually able to list on the exchange here, or that you chose not to list on the exchange here?
Yeah, we deliberately chose not to pursue any listing here in New Zealand, because ultimately we felt that we have a larger export market than a local market. So going outside of New Zealand to look for a listing seemed like a reasonable option at the time, and we're quite happy with that decision at this stage.
So Manas, tell us a little bit about how you keep yourself motivated.
Oh, look, keeping yourself motivated. I think every time I come to the office, it's a humbling experience, because I have the privilege of working with people that are enormously talented and disciplined in what they do. And on top of that, looking at the results of the last 6 months, knowing what's in store over the next 12 months, that enough has got so much excitement that it motivates me as well as everybody else in the team.
Manas, thank you very much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you very much.